Hi Sagittarius, great to see you come on in just in time for your Sagittarius April 2020 reading. I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who have not met me before. Now, Sagittarius subscribers, as you can probably tell, I've just spent the last hour or so in prayer and meditation for you, the Sagittarius subscriber, to bring you peace, protection and energy throughout the month of April, and you will definitely feel it, I can promise it. And also thank you, Sagittarius, a couple of you who I've read for since last month's videos, and thank you also for recommending me to your friends after that. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm very humble, thank you. I do appreciate that. Look, you know, I do readings for people all over the world, and in fact since last month's videos I've done readings for people over Skype and FaceTime in the United States, in Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, India, the Philippines, Turkey, Brazil, Dubai, Germany, among a number of other places. And it's amazing how small the world is these days, isn't it? Particularly when you get on something like YouTube. If you would like to have your own private reading, of course, and have some one-on-one time with me, then just check out the description box below, and that will give you the information on my work and what I do and how to contact me. But now we have for you your tarot reading, and as a treat, we're going to have 3 playing cards at the end, but let's get it underway. There's Strength. This is just there, whatever that is. That's the 7 of Cups. That's a wolf, very dark wolf, that one, the 7 of Cups. There is the Moon, the 10 of Discs, and what's that? The King of Discs. Now 3 playing cards. Let's have a look to see what there might be for you, shall we? The King of Clubs, the 10 of Diamonds. I have a feeling it's going to be a good month for you. There's the Jack of Diamonds. Okay, as is usual, why don't you come and sit down next to me while we have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. All right, Sagittarius, now let's have a look. Well, why don't we go, because I think we might have pulled this out as one of the first cards. This Major Arcana card, Strength. Well, the woman, and it's a woman's hand here, I think, in this Strength card, is crafting her own soul, the lion, into gold. She is using her own hands to create her destiny. Now it's Major Arcana number 11. Well, the difference between 11 and 1 is that 1 is innocent and 11 is experienced. 1 is not just born into the world, but 1 has a hand in creating the reality of this life through choices and actions within the matrix of earthly chaos. Strength is found in doing the work of one's soul, of wielding the great power of your soul, of doing what is right. And what is right is knowledge that can only come from you. What is right, only you can know according to your conscience. Accepting responsibility is easier if you always do what is right, in that you will be caressing the dangerous mouth of the lion. Knowing what is right comes from knowing your own soul and trusting in the greatness of it. You know, number 11 in numerology is a master number. It's not broken down in the same way that 22 and 33 are not broken down. And the number 11, I think, particularly relates to Sagittarius, because the people born with the number 11 have an interest in spirituality, in mysticism, in the occult, in justice, and in doing right. And so it's particularly appropriate, I think, for you. Now, let me just pull it out a little bit for you. Well, for me, the astrology is Leo, ruled by the sun, with Uranus exalted. This woman, she is the daughter of the flaming sword, and she speaks about courage, strength, control of life forces. It can sometimes mean a great love affair is about to come into being. The other things I think that this strength card is saying to you are these, that you may well challenge the conventional views on what a spiritual path should be like and what qualities are needed to pursue or teach the spiritual way. You're definitely not going to be punished by God, who has no moral issues about your love life. Guilt and self-inflicted punishment are wrong in this area. I think this relates to you also having a passion for a particular situation, a really deep interest in it. And I see that during this period you will be engaging with life to the fullest and being comfortable with your sexuality. And I think what you should do is accept your carnal desires for what they are, rejoicing in them, but not letting them throw your life out of balance. Yeah, I'm very much getting a passionate relationship here. Now, this might be with someone with whom you're partnered, or it could well be someone whom you are yet to meet, but there'll be a great degree of sexual and emotional intensity with it. I think it also means that you may well find that you are doing something, and you should just do something because you enjoy doing it. I'd have these thoughts in mind, and it is, I enjoy expressing my energy, vitality, and enthusiasm in all that I experience. I am a person of character and strength. I have unlimited creative resources to tap and express. You are the rose to my cross. Find new life in my heart. You are the moon to my sun, and I the wine to your cup. I pour the whole of me into you. Yeah. Why don't we have a look here? Because that card is talking about having a great lust for life. Well, there may be something to be aware of here. Let's have a look. Yes, here we have this very dark wolf at night with the moon behind it, the lord of illusory success. Now, the astrology of this card for me is Venus ruling the third decan of Scorpio, that 13th of November to the 22nd of November, just before the beginning of Sagittarius. And I think that this might be a green eye there. Green mystically is associated for me with the planet of Venus as well. Well, Venus is, among other things, the planet of love and beauty. And Scorpio is all about intensity, in-depth transformation, and the exploration of the self and of other people. But what is the effect of Venus in this situation? Oops, sorry about that. Why don't I pull this out so we can see it in the context of the other cards now that we've seen something there. Yeah, I've got Venus, haven't I, in Scorpio here. Now I'm also looking at this number 7, the 7 of Cups. Well, mystically, I have an association with the planet of Venus with the number 7. So we have Venus in the card and we have Venus ruling Scorpio, so there's a double dose of Venus. And Venus, in a way, doesn't really have any handbrake applied here. Venus also, when I say that we have Venus in Scorpio, in ordinary astrology, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, and so that vibrant beauty and love and relationship, healthy love and relationship that we might expect from the influence of Venus is weakened when it's in Scorpio.
it can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they can be channeled into negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio. And it can imply, I think, that we can indulge in excess reactive behavior due to something that has probably affected us deeply and changed us in a way which throws up its own set of problems. Yeah. There's also the feeling here of delusion or confusion in relation to something here. Maybe ill-informed choices. That is, are you seeking to make a decision on something, but without you being in the position of actually having all the facts which are necessary? I think it's the case that this energy here can relate to indulging in addictive emotions which don't represent your highest good. Now, this can express itself in overeating. Instead of having a bowl of ice cream, we might eat the whole tub of ice cream or a whole packet of Oreos. Or it can be over-drinking, or sometimes promiscuity. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're being promiscuous, but you get the idea of the energy that's around here. There can be negative patterns of behavior that relate to sex, diet, alcohol, or drugs. And let's face it, doesn't Sagittarius like all of those things, really? And I mean that with the greatest of respect. But it calls us to recognize that maybe, in a sense, we're kind of losing control over our circumstances, and that this is producing damaging lifestyle choices. And so what happens is that we need to get back to who we are. Recognize that there are things that we are troubled by, and regain our personal power. Is there some disappointment which you have not yet worked out? Have you experienced something that was just a little bit too good? Have you overtaxed yourself or overdone things in any way? I'd have this thought in mind, though, because you are a good person. As I recognize and accept my shadows, they lose their power over me. And it's interesting that we should talk about our shadows, because here is a card which is dealing very much with, I think, the hidden. Here is it looks like a warrior, perhaps. Would you say that's a man or a woman? Well, there's a bird's head there. I'd suggest that that's probably male, but I always associate the moon with the feminine principle. This is Neptune in Pisces with Venus exalted. Comments about Venus here as well. This is Venus in its good sense, though. Venus in its really good, useful relationship sense. But Neptune is in the picture. And so I'd say, is it a reality or is it an illusion? Neptune in Pisces. Well, Pisces is very much associated with the subconscious, with the emotions, intuition, and artistry. And this is the last of the major arcana cards to be associated by me with a zodiac sign. Neptune in Pisces. Well, Neptune's watery depths are associated with dreams, visions, and the imagination, which links it in really well, I think, with the qualities of the moon. Now, I think what we can say is that this is suggesting that this is a time when something in your life is not as it appears to be, that there is a situation that is deceiving, or that you are deceived by it. You may have a sense of being lost in life and unsure about which way to go. Almost like if you're out in the outer suburbs or in an unfamiliar area in your car late at night and there are no signposts, you just don't know where you are or how to get going. The GPS isn't working. Now, this card, I think, often represents your shadow self, your subconscious or hidden self. And perhaps there is, therefore, the harboring of negativity that you have suppressed or maybe not even aware of, and that there is a need to release this destructive energy. Very often feelings from childhood may have been repressed and could be having a negative impact on your current situation, perhaps. Neptune relates to illusion. What is reality? Mysticism, spirituality. Claim me, O wife, let thy veils open and thy veiling mists part to admit me to thy mystery, to the unexplored wilds of thy being. I think what is here is that you have heard the call of the unknown. You are on the threshold of new experience. Pay attention now to the voice of your heart and scrutinize calmly and carefully the offers of assistance and guidance which you may receive from other people. It's perfectly fine for you to receive help from other people because you're the first one to go out there and help other people and to boost their morale. I think that this is also talking of someone, and this is you, who is gifted in turning difficult situations into positive events, working through difficult situations and relationships. I think that there could be here that this is a time when I think that you are coming to your sense to say that I'm not going to go through any period of self-deception about anything. What inner regions feel strange, alien, or unknown to you? What are your blind spots? What experiences are you most afraid of? Often, you can be placed in the position of making choices between two issues or situations, opportunities, or directions when this card appears. And I'd have this thought in mind that I enjoy making important decisions. I value honesty and integrity in relationships. I like what is mysterious within me and within others. I express myself fully and openly like the moon, where it's responsible to do so. And through the choices I make, I can change my experience. This is also the tester of old patterns, Pisces. It's also a relationship card, and is saying that really that the honeymoon is over, reality has set in, and perhaps it's a time when difficulties are arising in a relationship. You might be doing some hard working on it, but it is a time to face any self-delusion, face difficult decisions, and resolve any difficult relationships. But you'll do it, because remember, it's always darkest just before the dawn. Well, then we come to the Lord of the wild and fertile land. Let's have a closer look at him. Come here, my lord. I'm getting a lot of Virgo around here, and Leo. Why am I getting Virgo? Well, the first two decans, that 0 to 10 degrees and 10 degrees to 20 degrees of Virgo, are ruled by the Sun and Venus, respectively. And the Sun is required for the production of the earth, vegetation, which is part of the suit of Earth. And the nurturing qualities of Venus, I think, really only complement this. Is this a man, possibly a man of the land, or connected with the land in some way? Sales or development, ownership, patient, a hard worker, clever. You might think he's a bit dull and too much into material things. In a sense, this is all about invoking the spirits of the earth for a plentiful harvest to be delivered. I'll get to this card here at the end here, where you do get that plentiful harvest. The character of this man is exceedingly complex, yet very well knit. At best, romantic and imaginative, but he's someone who has an overweening ambition, someone who can be superstitious. And there is, well, even though we see him here, there is probably a tendency to spend some time in idle dreaming, I would say. What does it mean for you? His work ethic comes from persistence against even all the odds. And I think that this is what you'll be doing during this time. You'll be persistent. You will have a very positive work commitment over a longer period of time. And you'll be quite good at practical things, which can include things around the house or the garden or makeup, hair, fashion, things like that. This is a man who has, and you will have, fortune on your side, a lot of courage, but also prudence, and success is going to come. He's very instinctive, and his work ethic brings results over the longer term. Now, I don't think that there's any air cards present. No, there's not. So I think that this is a time for you really not to over-intellectualize things. Rather use your work ethic. Keep your head down and use your work ethic to get things done. This is a person who has a deep connection with the earth, and you may well have very ecological thoughts at this time. Now is the time to set your abilities to work in service of some kind. The tasks before you may be large and demand the use of all your powers, but if you make the effort, the harvest will reward you richly. And whenever things seem to be too much trouble for you, concentrate on the positive result of your actions for you and for others. Your internal learning and growing process is the most important outcome, more important than that which you achieve by your actions. And have this thought in mind. With every task that comes my way comes also the energy needed to accomplish it. Okay, well, let's look at this final card here, and we were just talking about Virgo there, and I've got a lot of Virgo in here as well, I think. Let's have a look at this fantastic Ten of Discs. The Ten of Discs is Mercury ruling the third decan of Virgo. So we have the first two decans in my estimation here, and this is the third decan, which is the 13th to the 22nd of September. Now, so Mercury ruling Virgo. Now, in ordinary astrology, Mercury also is the ruler of Virgo, and it is exalted in Virgo. So you will have good communication skills, which is the Mercury aspect, and you'll be very good at organizing things, which is the Virgo aspect. So there is success and abundance with this energy. What do I see here for you? Well, I've got to tell you, richness, abundance, the seeds for wealth and prosperity. Perhaps someone might get an inheritance or a small lottery win. Certainly a supportive and tight-knit family. And for anybody who's involved in a family business, I see that business doing very well. Riches and material wealth can come to somebody here, almost to the point of them kind of losing their importance. I hope that's you. I really do. It can sometimes mean someone who has accumulated riches, but not much else, not much heart, not much spirit. But do you know about your inner wealth? Do you share it generously? On a piece of paper, write down all the qualities which constitute your inner riches. You have attracted to you everyone who is a part of your life. You have created every situation in your life, and you create your own reality. The wealth in your hands is your own to do with what you like. The responsibility is yours. You are actually, in total, endlessly wealthy. Have this affirmation in mind, because thoughts have power. I am internally and externally rich and free, and enjoy everything thankfully and in surrender. Tremendous card. Tremendous energy. Well, why don't we have a look at the playing cards, shall we? See what's here. Well, the energy represented by this could very well be you, I think, because it represents someone who is highly intuitive and who will not compromise their integrity or inner truth. It could also be a relative or a friend. It's certainly someone with leadership capacity, a lot of virtue around the person, somebody who is honest, open, and generous. Now, in that 10 of discs in the tarot that came up there, we were talking about wealth, weren't we? Well, this is sort of like the money tree, this card. It is the card of prosperity. It can also mean dealing with people who may be abroad. You could be having dealings with someone who lives abroad, or you may have dealings with someone who has come from abroad, who is a foreigner but living around where you are. Generally, and it depends on, when I do the psychic readings, it depends on where it sits in the spread and the influences of other cards around it, but very generally it's a card of financial success, and really is the very best money card to appear. Financial success, especially in a business that requires travel. It's a great card to have when starting a business, and it's also suggesting that changes are occurring which bring financial success with them. Also very much I'm getting the thought here of overseas travel when this card appears, but it, as I say, depends on the spread. And then to the Jack, well, usually a young male, but it could be a female, a friend or a family member. It can also be a love interest. Because the Jacks are low down in the court hierarchy, they give the feeling of young, fresh, things that are new. They can also represent invitations that you receive, or gifts that you receive, or messages that you receive, which actually are to do with affections and which are very pleasant messages to receive. It could represent you or someone with whom you live, or it could also represent someone that you're about to meet. Now, it can very often signal the start of a new relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it is in the suit of hearts, and so it could be a new relationship which has romance associated with it, or you could be increasing the bond between people, I think, who are in partnered relationships. I got to say this also, that sometimes this card here can represent a young admirer. So who knows? You might become a cougar. That's the way it is for you this month.
Well, there you go, another month done, and I trust you enjoyed receiving that reading as much as I did providing it to you. I've got to say this, that you were absolutely outstanding throughout the entire course of the reading, and it was a great pleasure to provide it to you. But I want you to remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.